Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, we have found a 2025 Prevost X3 converted by Emerald Luxury Coaches.
Andrew.
John Walker, how you doing today,
I'm fine.
sir?
How are you? Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming to see us.
Well, it's always an honor to spend time with you and learn more about the Emerald product. And I'm always impressed with the way you've built your coaches. And we recently saw a few 9660 shells, but you've got a Prevost X3 Emerald here.
Yeah, we got a 25 X3 Super Slide, Double Slide X3. So we're glad to show it to you. And thanks for coming to Texas to see us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Now, you're one of the few Prevost converters that does convert the X model. I know you also convert the H3s. But what's the difference between the two, and why do you choose to convert the X's as well?
So we convert a quad, a triple, a double, and then the X3 double slide. So we try to keep a mix for everybody, and everybody uses a coach different. So we try to keep a good mix of the floor plans and what they're doing. And we still have a lot of customers that love the X3, and these things are beautiful. And so we still build 2 or 3 a year, and luckily we have this one to show you.
Yeah, timeless design with the stainless, one of the best looking motor coaches in the world. And the X's are gonna have a little more headroom, and I think it's a little windy out here in Texas this afternoon,
Sure is.
But I'm looking forward to seeing the interior. Do you mind if we do it a little different today? Take a look at the interior first and then take a look at the exterior?
Absolutely, Andrew. Let's get inside, get out of this wind.
Yes, sir. John, it's been a moment since we've seen the inside of one of your X345s, but having this extra headroom and then that classic Emerald styling, you've really continued to push the industry. But what's going on with this coach?
We're on the inside now of the X345. This is a double slide with the super slide in the back, Andrew. So got the headroom. You can see kind of our classic colors that we do, kind of a timeless colors in this coach. We're build about 3 X's a year. This next year, by the end of 2025, we'll have a couple coming off that is our bath and a half with our bunks. So this is a bath and a half without bunks, but we do have a couple that we're building this year that'll come off at the end of 25.
Yeah, so more of a couples coach.
And now we're doing quite a few custom coaches, so that takes a little bit more time and working with customers to get those built.
Yes, sir. And it's hard to believe it's been over 5 years since the first time I saw in one of your Emerald X's, and you're just continuing to improve. Just lots of little subtle changes. But what's new for this 2025 model?
You know, this thing constantly changes. Our product constantly changes. So we made about 200 changes to the interior and to the bays on the X345 in this last year model. So there's a lot of changes to the interior and exterior. But they are subtle and some are big, just little details, working with clients to understand how they use it, making things adjust, fit better, look better, but really listening to the customer on what they want and how they use the coach. We've got a couple of customers that really spend a lot of time in the coach, that they take a big interest in the engineering and what we're building. And so, you know, sitting down with them and we're building, really walking through and listening to what they say. And then, you know, like I told you before, my job is to get that information from the customer over to the shop and make sure the guys that manufacture it or engineer it, and that's really my job, and that can be difficult sometimes. So I think that's where I see the difficulty in this industry, is trying to get that information from the customer over to the shop and build it. So I think we've done a better job at that the last few years, and we've really got some great customers that are just passionate about their coaches. And when they're passionate about coaches, then they get passionate about Emerald, and I think you're seeing some of those changes. So we're just been very fortunate to have those guys help us. So I got to get a lot of credit to the customers. They've helped us get there on what you see here today.
Yeah, what are some of the big, I know you said 200 changes, so it's going to be hard to remember all of those, but what are some of the biggest changes that you can think of off the top of your head that's new for this X model?
So one right off the bat is our air conditioning system. We reducted and redid everything, where we're doing a different pattern than what we had. So the ducts are hidden, you don't see it as much. Quieting down the air conditioners as much as we can on the roof, because we do rooftop air conditioning. Changed our battery system. This was a big change where we're all Victron across the board. And we basically remove third-party companies. All the Victron is all Victron all the way through, so they know how to talk to each other, and so we're not having to pass that information from one system to the other. Simplified the system, like got rid of a bunch of extra pieces and parts that we really didn't need. It make it maybe kind of cool, but really nobody ever uses it, and then they have a problem with it. So we just cleaned it up. So it's a nice system. If you don't like lithium, you can change over to AGM with reprogramming inverters, which is cool, because some guys, batteries aren't that important to. They want it to work, but they're not into how long the lithium will run and all that. So this coach is very versatile. You can really customize it for an individual's needs on the battery system. I think those are two of the largest changes that we made and the way we insulate the coach with sound deadening and heat deadening, because we're so hot in Texas, we get a good test on how hot one of these things can get. So we really changed that. Those are probably 2 or 3 of the biggest changes right off the bat.
Now, are the lithium batteries standard in every Emerald, or is that still?
They are standard right now. So if we spec a coach, or like this coach is a spec unit, we will put the lithium in there.
And we'll look more into that electronic system when we take a look at the outside bays. I wanted to take a look at the interior of this coach first because I was so excited to see inside of this coach.
Yes, sir.
But I think you've got 2 5,000 watt?
Yeah, 2 5,000 watt Victron inverters on this.
Yes, huge inverters. Coming back to the interior of this coach, what all else is new for this 2025X?
The floor plan I think is really new. So a larger kitchen galley. So nearly an 8-foot kitchen galley, which is huge for this layout.
This is a really nice feel, very livable, and even though this is a double slide coach, we still have a huge salon, and I don't see that many X models. I'm personally a fan of the X. I don't say it a lot, but I prefer the X personally. I'm 6'2", and this is huge headroom. We still have the huge bays, and there's just something about those bays, the way those doors open and close, that I'm a big fan of the X's.
Yeah, it has a good feel. The 3 inches taller inside, it's huge, and it opens it up. So for a tall guy, it's great.
Yeah, I'm noticing the height of this slide room. This feels a lot taller in the slide room than some of the H slides. Is this a taller slide than the H?
When the X3 is higher, so the slides go higher too. So they don't leave a space above the top of the slide out. They raise the slides as well.
That's got to be close to 6'4", 6'6",
yeah, it's
maybe?
the slides are super tall in the X3, yeah. Lots of headspace.
Now, do they make the X3 in like a triple or a quad slide?
Currently, right now, they just build it in a double slide is all the X3 comes in. It does not come in a triple or a quad.
Now, I remember back in the day when I was detailing motorhomes, I thought I saw some triple slide X's.
You did, and I think there was some built third party, so different slide out companies had actually took the chassis and modified it and added a slide. I don't think those were Prevost slides. I could be wrong, but I don't think that.
Now, you currently only use Prevost slides?
I currently use only Prevost slides on all their different configurations that they offer. I don't sub out.
Has that always been that way with Emerald?
It has been that way since day one. We've always used Prevost slides.
With Emerald, now your old Outlaw coaches, you've been playing with Prevost for a long time.
We had some great Outlaws, and they had valid slides in them, so we did a lot with valid slides. Yes.
So you have built them both ways using aftermarket slides as well. So you've put in the reps, you have the experience.
Yeah, I built probably 10 with valid slides.
Now, why do you choose not to continue to put like valid slides, maybe make this a quad slide?
Valid does a great job, and we still buy a lot of components from them. They're a great company, and they build a great product. I think with Prevo, I'm right there. I can get the slides put into it right then and then go straight to paint. It just cut out a step, but I still love the guys at Valid, and they're great people. So that's what I did with Emerald when I started Emerald.
Yeah, I can understand that, though, keeping all the, everything in sync. All done by Prevost, so there's no finger pointing.
Yes. If you need super big slides and something different, a different layout, Valid does offer that. So they do a great job. You could get that done. Yes,
sir, but now Prevost's been doing the super sweet slides in the rear bedrooms.
Yes.
So they're starting to they're getting pretty big slides from Prevost nowadays,
big slides,
too.
yeah. I mean, they got all the size we need, especially on these like this X3, how tall this slide is. So they're getting there.
Now, would you be able to build a triple or a quad slide X?
Not right now, Andrew. I think all that Prevost offers is a double slide.
Hey, you never know. Maybe someday Prevost will build a quad slide X. I think that'd be pretty cool to see.
That'd be pretty cool. It'd be cool. Hopefully they will someday.
Now, this configuration has been pretty popular with almost a relaxation / workspace area here.
Yeah, we've tried to change up the floor plans, but it does rotate back to this, Andrew. The people do like this. So one chair, you do have a little bit of a workstation here if you want, and then quite a bit of storage here. And it's set up for a printer. You can hook up if you want to do work from here.
Now, one of the other big things I like about the X is we've got almost flat floors all the way to the cockpit area here.
Yes, much different than the H. So the passenger and driver at the same level. So it's more like a car feel where you're sitting at the same level with the flat floor.
Yes, sir, and I'm noticing this has the E-mirrors. I saw those on the exterior. Now, is that standard on the new X model Prevost?
E-mirrors are standard if it's an Emerald. We're putting the E-mirrors on everything we build right now. People really are requesting them. Now, if you didn't want the E-mirrors, we'd want to order it without them. So we're kind of reverse.
But that is an option from Prevost. Not every Prevost X comes with those.
That is correct. You don't have to order that. That is an option from Prevost.
And earlier when we were talking, you mentioned that you ordered this X loaded with all the options. What are some of the other options you order from Prevost so that these coaches come loaded up from Prevost?
The way we lay the coach out, the different places we put the windows, The super slide is a bigger option. You know, we up the size of the bedroom slide, and then e-mirrors, and then we have the air brakes added to the coach. So if you had a stacker, pulling a bigger stacker, you could have the air brakes tied to it as well. So that's some of the main options we get. And then there's a lot of detail options, but that's the bigger ones.
Yeah, that's super slide. Looking forward to seeing that bedroom
Absolutely.
in a moment. The cockpit area up here, will this passenger seat spin around to become part of the living space?
It does, Andrew. So it's a pretty easy little deal. You gotta, it's not like people think, but you just basically slide it forward, and you gotta go full extension the way it's designed. Then once you go full forward, you just reach around here. There's a latch, and it spins around.
And that's a beautiful chair. The upholstery work with the diamond stitching with the perforated leather and the two-tone with that newer style emerald logo in the headrest there. Beautiful style design on these captain's chairs here.
Yeah, it makes it nice if you have guests over or something. It makes it pretty nice.
Yeah, and then the driver's chair, I'm assuming this does not spin around?
No, sir, it stays in position right there.
Now, can that be like that while it's going down the road, or does it need to be forward facing?
Well, you could ride backwards if you wanted to.
Hey, if you've got you want to have a conversation,
Yeah, you don't talk to each other.
Let the bus driver do the heavy lifting. Yes,
exactly
sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. But I know a lot of the ex-owners out there too like being at the same level. Some folks
Yes.
don't want to be sitting higher than the others. So.
Yes. It's interesting to hear how people see the difference in the X and the H, how they use them differently. So it's good.
Yes, sir. And then, coming back up to the cockpit, I'm noticing how clear the e-mirrors are. And then we also have another backup camera. It looks like a 360 camera. But what all is going on in the cockpit area?
The X3 is totally different drive, totally different experience. But in the cockpit, we do have the e-mirrors. We have the 360 cameras that go all the way around, Andrew. And then we have this monitor here that you can monitor our systems. So when you're going down the highway, you can see what we're doing. But it's still pretty easy to step up here in the cockpit area and use this screen if you want to turn on something or check your systems. So everything, like I said before, you don't have to hunt for it. It's all at arm's reach. But still the classic dash that's been in the X3, but it works great and just great feel. Got a lot of movability with the seat. On the navigation, we're running 2 Garmin's. So I have a backup camera, or you can run your navigation, and then you can keep your stereo running. So you can do whatever you want to. And then this one actually pops off, and you can hand like the navigation to the passenger. So this is pretty neat setup that we're doing right now.
Yes, sir. And I'm noticing on the steering wheel, it looks like controls for the shades. So if you're driving into the sun and you need to adjust those shades, you could do that all from the steering wheel. And then I see a couple touch panels to your left side above the controls. What's going on over there?
So these are just basic light switches, so that if you're running down the road, you could turn the lights on or off from the driver's seat without having, get up or anything. And then on the steering wheel, it is your cruise control, and then it does have your blinds for your sun visors, so you can run your sun visors and you don't have to take your hand off the wheel. So everything's really easy, and this is the great steering wheel. It feels good.
I see a built-in tire pressure monitoring system there. Is that from Prevost?
Yes, that is factory installed from Prevost. That monitors all the tires, inside duals and everything. It has an alarm system on it too. It can warn you if you got a low tire.
So you can lock and unlock your baggage doors, simple rear view mirror controls.
Yes.
You have your tag lift, your air brakes for your trailer, as well as your air brake for the coach.
Yes, and then you've got your leveling system here too. You can do a manual leveling, or you can do an auto leveling.
Next to the slide out controls here, there's a red, kind of like a fire emergency switch that has a cover over it, so it would only be pressed in an emergency, I'm assuming?
So that's your fire suppression for your engine on the coach, the D13.
Okay.
So that fire suppression is in the D, and then it has an alarm system to alert you if there's an issue there. Then you have your slide out switch as well. We got a 110 here, USB for plugs or anything you need back here behind you.
Yes, sir. It looks like a map light as well above the driver cockpit.
Yes, there's a lot going on up here, and trying to make it easy as possible.
Coming back into the coach, one thing that I've always been impressed with is the way that you do your lighting. You've got all different styles of lighting, indirect lighting underneath that slide room face, underneath the cabinets. You've got indirect lighting behind the valances there. A lot of lighting going on.
A lot of lighting.
What's your thought process with the lighting?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things. It's the experience of the coach, how it makes you feel in the evenings if you're relaxing, dimming down the lights. All of this is dimmable, and then I like the non-direct lighting. So making the cabinets look like they're floating off the ceiling a little bit, the lights around it, then around the valances. I think just in the evening, it gives it a lot better look. You can open the windows up at night. It just has a good feel about it, and it's taking that indirect light off of your eyes and stuff. So that non-direct lighting sure helps.
Well, and then the exterior lighting too. I know you do a
Yes.
lot with the exterior lighting, and it's still daylight out right now. We're going to take a look outside of the coach in a moment, but what do you do for nighttime exterior lighting?
We have lights around the coach, dimmable lights, down lighting, so you're not blinding you. Then we have lighting on our awnings, and so you can control all that from outside or at the dash or the door. So it's all controllable. You have lights underneath for party lights, if you will, or if you're having people over, you can have a really nice setting there. So it's got a lot of lighting on it. So a lot of different options. You can shut some of that off and turn some of that on, however you want to use it.
Are you able to change the color at all on that underglow lighting below the coach?
We do. We offer RGB lighting, so you can do any color you want. You can it has a wheel you can spin and pick what you want. Some of our coaches, we do one light, so it just depends. We do offer both.
Okay, so that is an option.
That is an option.
RGB lighting.
RGB lighting is an option.
Now, is the underglow lighting standard on every Emerald?
Underglow lighting is standard on every Emerald. We usually do a color pattern, so usually go bright white, or if there's some blue, we'll do blue, stuff like that, or green, but then you can do RGB.
Now, this is a bath and a half coach, but is there any additional sleeping on the sofa up front here?
So yeah, this sofa is jackknifes, Andrew, and we'll make into a bed that has storage underneath it.
I'm going to compliment that pillow. That almost looks like giant marshmallows stuffed together. It looks like a throw blanket. I thought that was part of the upholstery, but that's actually just a throw blanket.
The sofa go down right here. All you got to do is just come to this switch right here, and sofa lay down. It'll go all the way down. Pretty easy. It's got some storage behind it if you need to put blankets or stuff in there. So.
Yeah, and I'm noticing you've got cup holders as well.
Yeah, a few spaced out. Some people like them, some people don't. It's just so we put a few. We don't overdo it, but I do. Some people do like the cup holders, and then we've got the TV works good for travel. So when you're in travel, we're traveling with the slide out in. This TV is good to set there or set at the dinette, and you can watch that TV for traveling. It's hooked up to the Emotion satellite system or our Starlink as well.
Now, is there another TV up front that comes down from the ceiling?
Sure. So we've got that TV as well.
So flush, you would never know. If I didn't know there was a TV in there, I would never think it's there.
Exactly. Clean.
And almost like a linen style material on the ceiling. This is different than some of the materials I've seen in the past.
Yeah, this is more of a pattern for yachts and stuff.
Yeah.
So it has that heavy tweed to it, so it looks
tweed.
good. Yeah,
yes, sir.
Exactly. 55-inch TV that sits right there, and you still have good clearance when you come in the door.
Yeah.
So the Andrew Steel test.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we've got another camera on a tripod here. We've been doing a lot of filming today, but you can see I can get in and out of the coach. I'm not hitting my head, not hitting my shoulder there.
The X3 is difficult because that front of that cab is raked back so far, so you really have to push that TV as far to the front windshield as possible.
Good size TV up
Yes, sir.
there, and then a sound bar up here.
Yes, sir. Got a sound bar there, and we use Samsung TV, Samsung sound bar, everything tied together, one remote. So using your smart TV, everything here is streaming, so it works nice, and I think we're seeing more and more of that. So.
Yeah, but I'm assuming you probably don't want to have that down while you're going down the road.
That's what this TV would be for. So that you'd want that up.
Yes, sir.
Especially at night, it'd be so bright.
Now, coming back here to your dinette, you actually do have a different material for the backing here in your dinette.
A heavier material here, and then we like to do the leather seats in there. You can slide in and slide out a little easier. So it's a nice dinette. This dinette will make down into a bed. There's a cushion that'll go there, so if you had a grandchild or somebody staying with you, they can sleep there.
I like this decor that you have staged. Now, does this come with the coach?
Yes, it's all staged, ready to travel, and it stays with the coach. Some customers like us to leave it, and some take it out. So you got 110 outlet USB plug there. You can use that when you're sleeping on the bed. It gets at the right position, and when it comes up, you can plug in underneath.
Yeah, really nice setup here to be able to press a button and turn your booth into sleeping.
The booth has been good. We've built a lot of them, and it works for a lot of people. It can kind of double as an office space if you need to set up and do some work, or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, I'm going to try it out for size here. It's a very large booth here as well,
Yeah.
so it comfortably sit 4 people very
sure.
easily, and then some overhead storage here. Again, well lit.
Now that the X3's higher, so we got a lot more room here with this cabinet than like an H, because this opens these windows up quite a bit because of the headroom. The extra 3 inches makes a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah. It definitely doesn't seem like these cabinets are in the way. I'm not worried about hitting my head on them at all. And again, that same material on your wall, kind of a tweed or a linen.
Yeah.
Is
Has
that
a good
newer material? When did you start using that
Yeah,
material?
we just came out with it. We just found it this last year, and we started using it. We have multiple colors we're using. It's nice, and we have some with heavier pattern too. So it's a good looking material, and it's really robust, and it really forms well and wraps well. So it's pretty durable.
looks like it's easy to clean.
Easy
and
to
just
clean.
a real nice kind of neutral.
Look good for a long time.
Yes, sir. A cool accent wall here with the straight wood lines with that nice lighting and then a tile pattern, breaking it up a little bit.
Breaking it up, give it a little bit of look and design, and tied it into the tile in the kitchen galley here. So same stuff. And you know, this kitchen galley is huge. Like I said, it's 8 foot, makes a nice serving counter, and you can do a lot of cooking here.
Yeah, huge galley here, and I love the dark and light contrast with, you know, the wood grain in both of them, but you have more of a matte on the top cabinets.
Yes, sir.
And then more of a high gloss down low. What was the
Just
thought
mixing
process?
up. I hear people say they like the high shine, and I hear people say they like the matte, so we get a little bit of both. So maybe we can cover both territories if somebody's looking for a coach.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And then I like how flush all of these covers are. So you have sink covers here, cooktop covers. What type of cooking do we have going on here?
So we got a Wolf induction, and then of course a nice sink here. This is solid surface sink, Wolf induction stove with a Viking microwave, convection oven at the top. So all the high-end appliances you'll see in a high-end home, but the sizes that fit in our coaches, not such a big, like a home size. So we use certain sizes to fit everything. And then you have a Fisher Paykel dishwasher here, drawer dishwasher. Those are really nice, they work well.
And it feels like with the extra headroom from the X that we're getting more storage here in the cabinets. I feel like the cabinets seem to be a little bit taller, again, very well lit, lined with carpet.
The overhead cabinets are deeper, so you're gaining 3 inches of storage height, and then the depth is about the same. So it's just a different setup from an H, because 3 inches, you wouldn't think it'd make that much difference, but it really does.
Absolutely, and then having, you know, adjustable shelving there, super clean. Now, I noticed that these are not glued down. You do have carpets in here that, you know, fit flush in place, but when I was touching them, they're not glued down. Is there a reason that you're not gluing those down?
If you stain them or get them dirty, we can just cut and send new sets to you. So they're just sitting in there. So people, they do get dirty. So we don't, if we glue them down, then we're dealing with glue, and it makes another mess.
I respect that. It's still having that liner to keep stuff from rattling while it's going down the road.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then, you know, you got your bigger deep drawers here for bigger things, and we got heavy latches on them, and then our simple remotes just kind of right there for your salon area.
Yeah, really good amount of storage in your galley in this coach, and very robust cabinet build there.
Yeah, we've got a lot of room in the kitchen base. We have storage magnets for these covers, and you put those covers inside there, and they snap on.
That shows how that works.
Sure.
Oh, that's genius there. I've never seen anybody else do that.
Super fast.
When did you start doing that?
We've been doing that the best. Last year, we just haven't showed it, I guess, or talked about it. But yeah, you just reach in there and pop it out of the way.
Who thought of that?
The guys in the shop.
I got to tip my hat to whoever thought of that. I mean, what a clever use of space, because we're always trying to save space in motorhomes.
I can't get that into a client. This is actually the guys in the shop. So
wow. Yes.
Simple. You know, if you had a little trash can or stuff there, you just set it out of the way and pop it in.
Yeah.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, very clever. Always improving. One of those 200 improvements that you mentioned before.
Yeah.
What are some of the other improvements in the interior of this coach that we maybe haven't seen before?
I think the lighting is a huge improvement that we've done, really getting the lighting right. You can still live in this coach and use this coach without the indirect lights. I think the kitchen galley, getting the spacing right, where there's more room to set things and not just a sink and a stove. You know, I think those are big improvements. Our depths of our cabinets are changed, sometimes quarters or half inches, but it makes such a difference to the way somebody uses it. The magnetic latches, the soft close hinges, heavier duty slides on the drawers. Right here, Andrew, we've got our trash can, but we have trash or recycle, you know, just like that, but it's on a soft close. You know, everything's easy to use. Just see that click, click, and pretty easy. So I think those are improvements we've learned to do a better job, because people want to use these and they want them to be easy in use. So you got the Fisher Paykel refrigerator. This has the ice maker in it as well. So, and then you've got just a huge wardrobe here, and then just huge storage here. So lots of storage here in the hallway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, huge. I mean, huge closet in the hallway. And I always like to point out these, you know, metal braces on the inside of your long cabinet doors. That's going to really help that age well over time. But what a huge closet in the middle of the coach. I think this is nice to have that open storage, and then, you know, drawer space here. So really a lot of closet space.
Yeah, a lot of closet. This thing has a ton of closet on it. So especially the back end in this one.
Do you know how many feet of hanging space you have in this coach?
There's about 3.5 feet here, and by 5.5 feet, and then the back's the whole back of the engine compartment, so it's hanging space. So it's got a lot of closet. Plus, the slide out has 2 closets on each side of it in the bedroom.
And then I like this setup with that inlay on the door going into the bathroom. We've got a full bathroom here mid-coach, and this really makes sense to me, having that closet across from your full bathroom, because sometimes you're going to be taking a shower in here. Then you've got the Jack and Jill doors to go into your bedroom.
Yes.
And a really good sized shower, and I love what you're doing with the shower head in the ceiling here. There's also a vent with a fan. So, I mean, I'm 6'2". There's probably 6 or 8 inches above me here in the shower. And then we can raise this shower head up as well. I mean, again, just super tall. I mean, very few people are going to be that tall that they need to raise it all the way, but always nice to have that extra height and headroom. And just beautiful tile work here with the different styles of tiles. Your design team's been really firing on all cylinders. Who's doing the design in your coaches?
So me and 3 other people there at the company work on the colors and designs, and so it's a team. We collaborate together and figure out what we're going to do, and we learn from one coach to the other. So there's a group of us that do it there.
And I talk about it over and over, but at this level, I think you're probably one of the only ones, or the only one building a coach north of $2 million that still uses manual pocket doors. Why am I not just pressing a button to open and close this door?
Well, just because, we listen to customers, and they don't like, some of our customers didn't like the electric pocket doors, so we started putting manual in, and I mean, they do ask for them now, but they want the manual doors. So less work, you adjust a little bit occasionally. You have to adjust them a little bit, but they're pretty low maintenance. So just like your home, you're used to living in a house where you're not hitting a button to open a door.
I'm more than happy to just manually open and close it.
Sure.
And I don't have a lot of patience. I don't even even if it's a split second delay,
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 1 second. I just want to open it.
Open it and do it. I think a lot of our customers are the same way.
And this is something else cool that I really like the way you build your coaches. You've got that slide room control for your rear slide hidden in this medicine cabinet here. Just tucked out of the way, just kind of nice. It's almost like if you're the operator of this coach, you're going to know where to go, but
Yeah, exactly.
Rookies aren't just hitting the slide room buttons.
Right.
And
We try to hide them so they're not just sitting on the walls. Yeah, it looks cleaner.
it looks like a little storage back there, probably just enough for maybe some toilet paper or maybe some liquefied RV toilet treatment. You have some good drawer space. And then some good storage below the sink there. And then a Jack and Jill door. So if you do have guests staying here, you section off your rear suite, but then that water closet's neutral territory.
Exactly. So
Now you have a lot of closet space. Is that what people are asking for these days?
they want closet, all the storage we can get, using every inch of the coast for drawers or closets. So any extra space, that's what we're doing. So closets on both sides of the bed, and people are asking for a lot of closet space, as much as we can get. These have the soft close hinges on it as well, and magnetic catches, and a really deep drawer, as much as we can get using the whole depth of the slide on both sides of the super slide.
And another closet on this side of the bed. Again, I've got to point out that reinforcement on this door, and again, very well lit, all lined with carpet with outlets. So you've got, I think I've seen at least 5 feet of hanging space between that first closet. These two are probably 12 to 18 inches each.
Yes, sir. A lot of closet space. Still have the king bed, radius corner so you can get around it. And then this bed the head does come up, the foot does come up. So adjust it however you want.
Yeah, and again, just more of that kind of wood slate accent wall here. Just small, subtle touch in the bedroom. It just sets it off nice. And huge Samsung TV there.
Got the 50-inch TV here, and the wood accents. And then we have drawer storage here from the countertop down. Foot of the bed.
I'm noticing a significant difference in more storage with the height, with the more headroom. We're gaining a lot of storage, it feels like, inside
A lot of
the
storage.
coach.
It's just such a different adjustment when you get to the X3. So it makes it a good feel, especially for a tall guy like you. This is a good feel for that person.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the X's for sure. Then still a bath and a half coach, but I'm enamored with your closet space here. This might be the most closet space we've seen in a Prevost conversion. I mean, do you think that's safe to say? Is anybody else building this much closet?
I think
hanging
on the
space?
X3, I see the other guys build it. They get enough closet space
Okay,
in it too.
so there's some
I'm gonna
other
be real
guys.
with you. I'm gonna be real with you.
We don't see them all. We don't.
Yeah.
Well, we really
Yeah.
don't see a lot of X's. Really, we see
That's
a
right.
lot of H's. But
Yeah.
there's only a few of the converters that do convert X's. You, Marathon, I think Millennium does a couple. Man, this is brilliant. I'm going to call it a walk-in closet, because even though I'm 6'2", and there's a huge step up here to get above that Volvo D13, I'm still standing all the way up in this closet. We've got a Bosch washer and dryer hanging across the back of the coach here, and it even wraps around here a little bit here as well. So I'm thinking we're probably pushing on, gosh, that might be another 5 feet. I mean, you might be like close to 10 feet of hanging space in this coach.
I would say easily, yes. Yeah, it has a lot of hanging space, more than you can wash and take care of.
Yeah, definitely a lot more space than I have clothes for. And then back here along the back of the coach, this is getting a little technical back here. What are we looking at back here, sir?
That's our 12-volt distribution that runs our lighting and our systems. Really basic module system that we're currently using, and it's easy to get to, easy to work on. This is what we'd have to work on if there was an issue. Just a real nice 12-volt module system there that's easy to use.
Yes, sir. And then we still have another half bathroom here in the rear of the coach. So this is nice if you're having guests that might be using your water closet and you need to get up in the middle of the night. Here you've got your own private water closet. Yes. Or sometimes husband and wives want to have their own
privacy. Sure. Yeah. It works nice. It's a nice size.
Very bright back here too. I love the light colors with that kind of light blue.
Easy to see with the bright colors. The coaches can get a little dark, so this is really bright.
And some decent storage here in this bathroom as well. You've got a huge medicine cabinet here. Some nice storage below the sink there as well. Extremely bright back here. Just a really nice kind of heavenly feeling here in your rear bathroom. But as impressive as the interior of this coach is, I'd love to learn more about the outside, some of the systems you're using.
Sure.
But even we can take a look around the outside.
Absolutely, Andrew. Let's go outside and see what we got.
Sounds good. Coming back out here to the exterior, I love the doorbell camera with the stripes that go through it. And then this is a 100th edition, so still celebrating the Prevost 100th year anniversary?
Yes, that coach was built in the year of the birthday, so the 100th anniversary. So each coach we built that year is badged.
Now it's a 24 shell, but 25 emerald, I believe?
Yes, sir.
So there's a 1 year lag is kind of the norm?
Yes, sir.
You got code entry for your front entry door, and then is there a deadbolt lock that's separate from that as well?
Yeah, it's got a deadbolt on it as well. Plus you have the key fob that'll lock and unlock the bay doors as well.
Yeah, now this has the E-mirrors. We saw those on the interior, but great looking with the classic mirrors and then the E-mirrors as well. And you mentioned that is an option from Prevost?
That is an option from Prevost. On Emerald, that's coming standard. And so we had those put on at the factory during the production of the coach. So yeah, that's standard now. And it seems like everybody likes E-mirrors, but it is optional.
Going through these bays, I mentioned it earlier, but I just love the robustness of these Prevost baggage doors. It's like opening a vault every time you open one of these doors.
Super strong, very, very well engineered. You got the punched bay doors. You just don't see that on a regular motorhome, like an actual automobile. So doors are stout.
Yeah, so what's going on in the first bay here?
So Andrew, pretty simple design, like we try to keep it, but those are your 30 amp, 50 amp breaker panels, easy to get to. We've got them tied up against the wall. And then we got a bay slide here. This is a manual bay slide, and that goes over to where the gussets are put in the bay, so we stop it there. And then we've got a 50-inch flat screen TV that slides out here. It's just hidden behind that wall there. So can't put the 65 in the X3 because of the lower bay. So it's a little bit different than the H, but still a nice size TV.
Do you do the 65-inch in your 9660 shells?
Yes, sir, we do.
Yeah, and very, again, robust framing. Is that all built by Emerald in-house for this slide for the TV?
Yeah, to get these in, you just really can't buy one, so we have to customize each one. And so that's what gets the build on these TV slides, to give it that strength, because you just can't buy anything like that.
And I like that you've got the manual bays. Is there a reason that you're not using power slide trays like some of the other companies at this level?
You know, we do both. We offer the power slides, or you can do the manual. It just seems like a lot of our customers have asked us to do the manual, so if we spec a coach, we're doing manual, but it wouldn't cost you the sale of the coach. If you want a automatic slide or electric slide, we have it.
I like the manual. I don't have a lot of patience, so I like being able to just flip that switch and not wait for the electric motor. You can get that in and out very quickly, and then just, simple mechanical piece of equipment there.
Yeah. So bay 2. So this bay has our inverters. We were talking about the 5,000 watt Victron inverters. We have a little storage area there. And then this one has 4 lithium batteries on it, Andrew, but we have it set up. You can go to 8, or you actually can put 16 in this coach. There's enough room for that. So it's whatever you want. We have it it's very versatile, and so you can take these out and add AGM batteries and just reprogram inverters. We try to build a bay that kind of fits everybody, and everybody uses a little bit different. Some of the guys are big on the lithium batteries, some of the guys aren't. So that's kind of what we've kind of put together here.
Yes, sir, and I see an awning control here for the Girard awnings. Does this have the big rooftop awnings up there?
Yes, sir. So we've got the batwing awnings on both sides of the coach all the way around it. So we just put them on everything now and tie in our roof cowlings to those.
Now, does it have wind sensors if your awnings are out and you start getting 30-mile-an-hour winds like we have in Texas today?
It has motion sensors, so if it moves, it'll bring that awning in, then it will protect the awning.
Okay, yeah, we would probably pull them out today, but I don't think they're going to be out for they're going to probably just go right back in, and
for sure.
30-plus-mile-an-hour winds.
For sure.
And then I'm noticing battery management system on and off, and it looks like there's a little protector so that you don't accidentally press that button. What is the purpose of that button there?
So that is the on-off button. So this system is either on or it's off. If you need to store the coach, you can turn that switch off and walk away from the coach. It shuts all the systems down. So, if you're using it, you don't need this switch, but it's a really simple system. It's on and off. You don't have to hit a lot of different switches to get everything to fire up.
Now, when you're storing this coach, if you turn off this battery management system, do you still need to be plugged into 50 amp, or are you able to store the coach without having it plugged in?
You're able to store the coach without having it plugged in. So you can unplug the 50 amp, turn that switch off, and you're offline at that point.
Wow, and how long are you able to let the coach rest?
I think you could leave it there 2 or 3 months without plugging it in. Yeah, it was set there because there's no draw on the batteries at that point. So it's nice storing it, but people don't. Most of the time it's plugged in, systems are on, that's what we want.
I think it's good to exercise the coach too.
Yes, the more they use, the better they operate.
Yes, sir. Now I'm seeing another switch back here. Inverter AC input. It looks like a breaker that has a little protector over it. And then we have some bypasses here as well. What are we looking at over here?
So it's real simple. These are bypass switches if we lost the inverter or if we lost the ATS switch, the automatic transfer switch. So what that does is that allows us to get the customer back home or to a service center or somewhere where we can fix that unit. Those are mechanical, electrical parts, so they do break. So that is protection, or that's really just to help us get somebody home so that they can go ahead and continue with their trip and they're not interrupted with an issue. So those are two major parts that can fail, and so that's what we do there. So there's a lot of redundancy there.
I know you're always thinking ahead for the end user. Yeah, I really like what you did with the cabinet faces in the bay. I remember some of the older Emeralds weren't quite as spruced up in the bay. Is this another improvement you've made recently?
Yeah, we found moving things around changed up some of our design of our electric bay, so our inverters and stuff. So we were able to get this cabinet here, Andrew. Gave some storage for the customer. And then we were able to add a small refrigerator here. So pretty nice look. So good storage, got a little ice maker in there.
Yes, sir. I really like that hardware too. It's got like a pattern, kind of a nice grip on it. And then what is this this style? Not quite carbon fiber, just a...
It's carbon fiber look, but it has that look that can take some sun and some weather. So you can spray water on it, it gets wet, you can clean it off real easy.
Hey, so good storage, an outdoor refrigerator, and then what's going to be housed behind this bay that we're not seeing?
So behind this bay is our holding tanks and our plumbing bay on the other side of the coach. So that's going to be on the back side of this cabinet. So if we were going to replace a holding tank, if we had a holding tank with a leak or a problem with it, we just remove this cabinet and the tanks, you unhook from the other side and they come out this side. So it's a quicker time frame of changing a tank out if there is an issue, because you may have to from time to time.
Is that a common issue, or I've never heard of that?
Not very common, but you want to plan for it, because things happen. But I have seen where people have had to remove a tank on a motorhome or a other coach, and man, it's super time consuming. So we tried to think about that. Down the road is when you would see something like that possibly.
Yes, sir. Now, what's the holding tank capacities in this X3 Emerald?
So we're 170 on the fresh,
wow,
and then we're 78 and 78 on the black and gray.
Huge holding tank capacities if someone wanted to do some dry camping.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is going to be more of a service bay. Now, I see this kind of ventilation on the bay door here. What is this?
This is the condenser for the dash air.
Okay.
So this is your dash air conditioning, and that's the condenser for it there. And then we added a air hose reel there, so if you need to tubes up or bicycle tires and stuff like that. And then we put a toolbox on it in this space here. So it is just a utility bay.
Yeah, a nice little toolbox tucked out of the way there.
And then you have your DF tank here. You can fill from both sides of the coach, diesel fuel from both sides.
Yeah, 203-gallon diesel fuel tank.
Yes, sir.
Now this dash AC, is this the same dash AC like we see in the 9660
Yes,
shell?
sir. It's the same thing. Yep.
Nice.
Just different configuration on the different X3 model. So this is your engine compartment. Pretty neat how the door opens on the back. Easy to get to everything. Prevost does a great job on getting all this set up.
Now, most of this is going to be factory from Prevost, but are you adding any alternators or?
We had 2 alternators that charges the house batteries. We use the same factory configuration for the alternator, so easy to work on. We don't change a lot on the chassis at all. So really simple, you know, you got the glad hands if you did want to pull a stacker that had air brakes, and then you've got your 7-way, and then you have your cameras. So we do have a camera set up so you can put cameras on a trailer, the back of the trailer, in the trailer, whatever you wanted to do.
Yeah, no, 20,000 pound towing capacity?
Yes, sir.
And you were mentioning cameras, and I actually missed it on this side, but I'm seeing back here in the middle of the coach, there's going to be a separate camera right here in the middle of the coach.
So we have the 360 cameras all the way around the coach. So if you were backing into this spot here at the resort, you can see all the way around the coach from these cameras. There's one on the front, both sides, and the back.
Nice. Yeah, when we close this engine bay here, I like to point out the exterior styling here. Your front and rear caps really over the top, and then are these going to be a different style of cap for the X than what we see in the H?
Yes, sir. The X3, we have to change the design of it quite a bit, and you can see it's got a little bit more flair to it. Like I said, we always try to keep with that body line, so we have to change it because it's a little bit different. You know, it ties into the back. It looks good. The X3 is beautiful. I mean, it's just timeless.
Yeah, it really ties in those big batwing awnings, just
Yes.
giving it that higher profile. And I really like this paint job as well, kind of an aggressive style.
Yeah, and I mean, they just did a great job wrapping the paint around the body so it just keeps running. It doesn't break. So they did a great job designing it.
Absolutely. You know, coming around to the driver's side of the coach, I notice you don't have the perforated vinyl on this window, but is that something that could be added if someone wanted to bring this killer paint job through the windows as well?
You bet. We do it on some coaches we don't, Andrew, but that's something we can do after the fact.
Yeah, huge bay door for your plumbing bay. These X's have much wider bays than we see in the H's, I believe.
Yeah, a lot wider. Totally different setup than what you see in the P9660, but kind of the same concept. All of the plumbing is on this side of the coach. So when you're hooking up at the resort or wherever you're using this side, you're not going around the coach to have to open valves and stuff. So it's all configured to be over here, which is pretty cool. And then we have our Oasis here. So it's very easy to get to. This is just a mechanical bay. There's not a lot for the customer to do here. So we have the system right there. Really easy to work on. Easy for a technician to get in there if you have an issue. There's a lot going on here, but it's simple, very easy to use.
Yeah, very clean the way everything's labeled. And you know, the more we go through this coach, after hearing that comment from Rick that we talked about on the inside, it really makes sense. You know, just very simple. Everything you can tell what's going on. You can see it all. I think from a technician standpoint, when they come into these, they're not over intimidated by all the panels and everything. It's, you know, hidden behind this bay door, but easy to access when you need to get to something.
Yeah, and the fuel tank is on the other side, Andrew, of that panel. There's not a lot you can do in this bay, so we've tried to use every inch of it so that you're not using your storage in your bays. And then, you know, like I said, you know, we tell people we're trying to build simple systems, but we're not cutting costs to build simple systems. Sometimes in some cases, I feel like it's costing us more money. We have to design more and really think it through more. And this is one of those bays where we really thought a lot through, where somebody could work on it, get here, get out of here as fast as possible, and not be just taking things apart and trying to figure things out and burning time. You know, that's the main thing. Fix it and get going if there's an issue.
Yes, sir. Your technicians just drove back to Stephenville because all the emeralds that are here are all dialed in. There was nothing else for them to fix.
Not right now, so that's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coming back to the plumbing bay here, I see a drinking water filter system here.
So that's our water drop, and so what that does is that's feeding the fresh water to the ice maker and to like drinking water for your coffee and stuff. So that is a RO machine. So those are your filters you can change and take out. So easy.
Oh, super simple.
Easy, super simple to use.
Then you've got the big Headhunter Mach 5 water pump, and it looks like an auxiliary water pump behind that.
Yes, sir. So it's got an auxiliary 12-volt pump if you had a problem with your Headhunter, and then you got the big pump. That's what you typically are going to run off of. So it gives you some redundancy. Anything occurs, that kind of gives you some options. So it's just a matter of switching valves, and you can keep the customer running. So same setup in our plumbing in this system is an H. There's no Different, just the layout, because the configuration of the bay changes. So same stuff, same bypasses.
Yeah, and again, super clean the way everything is labeled here, black tank rinse. We can monitor the system water pressure. So is this monitoring the PSI of the city water coming in?
That is monitoring the pressure in the system coming off the pump or the city. So whatever your system is pressured, that's what's telling you your system is. So sometimes people think they may not have pressure or something. That's going to allow them to know what's happening with their water system.
Okay, and then I see another house water filter. This is going to be different than the drinking water filter?
That's correct. So that's your water coming out of your tank or your city or wherever you're getting onboard water. So you're going through a sand trap, trying to get the bigger sediment, and then we'll go to that filter that filters all your water going into your house. So, we're trying to catch everything we can before it gets into the system.
Yes, sir. And, just looking at this bay, I'd ask you to explain everything for me, but I've got all these nice placards here, so I'm just kind of can figure everything out really easily. Great water tank dump, Oasis Bay heater. Here's the city water reel.
You got your macerator hose, and then you got your 50 amp power cord, 55 foot of it. This little meter here is what I talk about that tells you what power is coming into the coach or not. So if you plug this power cord in, you can go see what your power is at the pole. Customers use that all the time. It's been a lifesaver. So if there's a problem at the resort, you can get a hold of somebody and show them that that is their power. This is not our power. So it's good.
I've heard stories when Prevost rallies like this Prevost rally, there's probably like 100 Prevosts here. A lot of the electrical systems of some of the campgrounds out there cannot handle this much draw. So
Yes.
Sometimes it's going to lead to some problems at the power post. And then you go to plug your coach in and you think you're having issues with your coach. Really, it's just the power post. So
Yes, sir. That's it. And
nice
sometimes
feature.
at least you can protect your coach from that. And like right now with 80 buses here, we're pulling a lot of power.
Yes, sir. I bet. Well, and this is something so simple, but so clever. An emerald doormat here. Still looks brand new, like it's never been stepped on, so I don't want to be the first one to step on it. I'm going to put it right back here in this nice, convenient place to hold it. And what I like about this is if it was a little dirty and you needed to power wash it off, you got a detail guy, just have them just give it a couple quick swipes with the power washer. It'll clean it right up. And it looks like this is pretty industrial. I don't think you'd have to worry about getting water on the...
No, these are pressed for the door, back door, so they can take water, salt, whatever. These things are great. Like I said, Andrew, the biggest selling point is on our plumbing bay. We worked really hard to get the design there, and this has a lot of customer input. They use it a lot and different ideals, and so we've took a lot of little pieces of parts of everybody to try to build something cool, and I think it's turned out well. And it's a different concept than what we've seen in the other Prevosts, but seems to be really what our customer base is asking for.
Yes, sir, and I'll point out too, the touch panel, I went right over this, but we can monitor our tank levels. We've got our master lighting. We can select the water heater source. So you've got diesel or electric heat. You can monitor all of your voltages here, your auto gen start.
Yeah, like a while ago, Andrew, when we unplugged the coach to move it, I didn't go in the coach. Had my shoes on, so I just went in and turned the air conditioning off, changed the systems, getting ready to move the coach, and I didn't even have to go into the coach. I can control everything. Then I rolled the power cord up, so that's really handy.
Absolutely, and yeah, some of you owners out there may be familiar, but a lot of folks probably aren't familiar that when you're unplugging a coach, it's extremely important to turn all of the ACs off so that there's not too much draw and it can kind of mess with the electrical system. From what I've been taught
That's right.
when I started RVing, you always make sure the ACs are off before you unplug.
It's a lot safer. Those compressors, when you pull power on them, they lock up on you, so it's good. It protects the compressor. So what you're saying is 100% right.
I learned something every time I hang out with you guys out here. Another second panel right here that does a lot of the same stuff we see in the larger panel. What is the use of this second panel here?
So we just added one, Andrew, so you wouldn't have to go into the main panel. If you were viewing the panel, you could go over here and had a second switch that runs everything out here. It's just easier, faster access, so you're not hunting for the other switches, because sometimes going through that panel takes a minute, so
Yes,
it's
sir.
just to make it faster.
Yes, sir.
And then we've got our manual fill, so if there's a problem with our city, you can manually fill the coach with water. Then we've got our city water and then our tank rinses. This is pretty cool. We put a solar panel on each coach. So this has a 750 watt solar panel on the roof. That's charging our chassis batteries or the generator battery. So that gives it some redundancy and gives it some backup, you know. And so it seems like it's been really good to us the last 3 or 4 years on our chassis batteries. It definitely keeps them up.
Or a day like today probably slows it down a little bit as well. So.
Absolutely. Then back to the plumbing a little bit. We have electric valves that will open your black and gray tank. If they didn't work or failed, we have a manual bath pass on those, so you could actually open the valve, get down the road. And then we have a macerator pump. If you were at a place you couldn't get to the honey wagon, or you know, a place that was hard to dump, you could pump your waste off the coach to a drain or somewhere, so it might keep you from having to move the coach around. So
yes, sir.
It's just cleaner, really neat setup.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to give everybody every plumbing option we can.
Well, especially if the dump is uphill. Sometimes it's uphill and it's much easier just to turn a pump on than to have to move the whole coach.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, a lot of thought goes into these bays, but you know, I think it's turned out nice.
Well, this is the business side of things, like, you know, like we talked about, you're building the coach for the end user, and
sure,
this is all stuff that any coach operator is going to have to do, so
yes,
you're making life easier for them.
You know, I was talking to a customer the other day, and he said, you know, John, it's dark out here, we can't see it. We want to make this as easy, it's lit up good, and make it easy for them to get in there, hook up, get back, so it's not a pain. You know, that's the whole deal, make it a good experience.
Yes, sir. And, you know, talking about your customers, we recently did a video out in Indio, California. We haven't dropped that one yet, but we need to get that one live to the viewers, where we had the opportunity to film Daryl and Maggie.
Yes.
And they just really sang a lot of praise. And it was cool to see your interaction with them,
yes,
you know, about how they want to, you know, push you to build a better product. And they're just, you know, passionate Emerald owners that really love it.
They're very passionate. They have a beautiful X3, and they've been wonderful customers. Very lucky to have them.
They've been in that coach for several years now, yes, and they don't have any need to upgrade. They're happy with what they've got. So
they have a beautiful place in MCC, and they have an awesome spot, awesome coach.
We'll leave a link to that video in the description below. Definitely worth checking that out. Some amazing folks. Coming up to this next bay up here.
So this is a generator bay. This is a 20 kW PowerTech diesel generator. It's on a side slide plus air ride. So it's a little bit different configuration than what we've seen on the H's, but it's got redundancy of the fans. Basically the same setup as what you see on the H, but it's just a sideways, so that slide will come out. So a lot of power that'll run it.
And then you'll notice all the sound deadening material here.
Yes.
That's going to help keep it quiet even when you're running the generator.
Yeah, you got to keep it quiet. It's right by this slide out, so you can get some noise. So we double line the bay, and then it's a fireproof bay, and then we put our sound deadening material in there. So several steps to building a bay for a generator.
And when you say fireproof, do you have a fire suppression system in this bay as well?
I do. You can't see it. It's behind the motor, but there is a fire suppression in here on this generator as well.
And what else about this bay would make it fireproof?
Well, the way we line it with steel. It's in a steel bay.
Wow.
So we have used lightest material we can, but still rated to fire code.
I'm going to ask you a really hard question here. I don't think I've ever asked any Prevost converter or anybody in any video I've ever done. Have you ever had a fire in your generator bay, or a fire in one of your coaches?
I've seen electric fire in that generator bay, and luckily it did stop it, and it didn't spread, but that bay has a lot of heat, a lot of electricity. There can be a lot of things go wrong, so I have seen it.
It happens. Anybody that's around the RV industry long enough, you're playing with this complex machines.
Yes.
Now, but it stopped in the generator bay the way that you built the bay suppressed the fire?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
And you know, I think you're right, Andrew. People act surprised these things happen, but there's so many moving parts, things like that can happen. So we're doing everything we can to protect it the way we build the bay, everything we can possibly do to make it safe.
When you do build the RVIA code as well, I know there's a lot of stuff that they're making you build stuff a certain way, just to try to prevent that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the way you run your electricity, the way you balance your loads and everything, this is all balanced out. All the loads are balanced out, all your breakers, all your electrical architecture is balanced properly. And I think being RVIA, they force you to do those things. So, and it makes you do it right.
Now coming into bay one up front here, so you've got some of the stuff for the show here, or what?
Yeah, there's some stuff for the shows. These are our lawn chair holders there.
Yeah, I love these. Are still in the plastic, so we're not going to take them out of the plastic out of respect for the future owners of this coach, but just to show everybody, you know, how small of a footprint these Zip-D chairs. These have never been out of the plastic. We're putting these right back in their home for the future owners of this coach, but great spot.
You can still store stuff on top of it. Doesn't take a lot of room, but you need your lawn chairs.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Then you got your black tank hose storage, 2 storage hoses there, and then you got your Microflex gloves if you need those.
Hey, I'm a big fan. When you're out here working on your coach, I highly recommend having some nitrile gloves. Even if you're plugging in your 50 amp or dealing with sewer stuff, just you know, keep your hands clean.
Yes, sir.
So when you go back inside the coach, your hands aren't dirty. I see these big gussets here. And we talked about some of the electronics going on the other side of the coach. What all else is going on in the front bay here?
So those are the gussets for the chassis from Prevost, and those come in there. So we build around those, and then we got some 110 USB plugs on both sides, and pretty simple, trying to leave this open for the customer. They can store whatever they want to in here.
And then coming back up to the front end, just that beautiful aggressive paint job, kind of a slight fade there. What a great looking coach. Now, if someone wants to become the next owner of this coach,
And it's available, call us at emeraldluxurycoaches.com, or this coach is for sale through Transwest Truck and Trailer RV. So that's how you can get a hold of this coach.
well, John, it's always an honor to spend time and
Thank you,
see
Andrew.
how you're continuing to improve your product and really listening to the end users. And I think a lot of folks out there agree with me that you're really, you know, creating a product that folks really want, and awesome to see what you're doing.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate you. You do a lot for us. You teach me a lot about coaches, and I appreciate that a lot. And thanks for videoing this X3, because you know, I haven't done one. This is my first video on X3, so thank you for your time, and we appreciate all you do.
Yeah, always an honor, and definitely worth checking out the customer testimonial video we're going to leave in the description below, and then you can hear from some of John's owners
Yes.
about his product
Great
as well.
customers, great customers. They're
Awesome, John. Well, thanks
All
again,
right,
sir.
thank you,
Appreciate
Andrew.
you.
Appreciate you.
Also appreciate all of you out there subscribing to the channel, and hope you're all having a great day. Thanks again.